Pastor Mark Barbie from Fairfield Christian Church in Lancaster, one of the pastors there. We represent a church of about 1,500 people. It just occurred to me that there's something that many of us as pastors have in common, and that is, I would imagine everyone here would raise their hand having done funerals for premature children at the same age or gestation that they're being aborted. And we identify with families on a regular basis who lose the one that they've longed for. Amen. And at the same time, we're destroying life. Our hearts are heavy today as we recall the destructive path of abortion in this country for the last 40 years. There have been millions of lives wasted needlessly. In addition, this has led to the further breakdown of morals in families and the personhood of the mothers who have been victimized. Think of the millions of mothers. Ohio State legislators have the opportunity to reverse this downward slide of our culture by supporting this heartbeat bill. Many advocate that one person's right has priority over another, but I find this nowhere in our Constitution. And any legislation or court decision that favors one's convenience over another's life is wrong. Amen. Many will say that we need to keep up with the times, but that misses the point that man's needs and temptations haven't changed in thousands of years. When we value what God values, we will never go wrong. We find in His Word that life is precious and protected, that He knew us in our mother's womb, and that no one has the right to take another's life. Amen. Our culture and the success that we enjoy is the product of Judeo-Christian civilization. Ancient Rome was known for its cruelty and the cheapness of human life. Abortion and infanticide were practiced routinely. But Jews and Christians came into that culture and transformed it. They followed a revelation from God, the creator of life, and began to value life. Later, the value of every human life was built into the documents that eventually provided liberty and equality and protection for everyone under the law. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were built into the founding documents of our nation, and we continue to respect the value of each individual life and the right to life for every individual, whether born or unborn. From the moment of conception, the living cells are human life. From the moment of the heartbeat, at 7 to 8 weeks, each child is gifted with all the ingredients that make him or her uniquely human. All that is added is time and nourishment. To put it another way, the discovery of DNA should teach us this uniqueness from conception. It's like a computer program in every cell that determines the unique design of that individual. The right to life is the most basic building block of society, and no other right can trump it. It is protected in our Constitution and amendments. And how sad it is that an amendment that was intended to increase the equality of black citizens, black Americans, has been reinterpreted as some right to privacy that trumps life. I reread that 14th Amendment this morning, and I couldn't find the word privacy anywhere in it.
Amen.
No state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property, is the clear statement. The heartbeat at 7 to 8 weeks is a human heartbeat. The tiny feet a few weeks later are human feet. The life is a human life. As President Reagan once said, if you have the slightest doubt that something like this, you err on the side of life. In other words, you choose life. Yes. Help the mother to do the right thing, and she'll have no regrets. Help her birth the child and make it available for adoption into a loving home. This legislation being considered will help lead people to responsible choices, not further irresponsibility. You will help them to choose life, not death, and you will contribute to life for this culture rather than death. Support this bill and you will have a heart for vulnerable women who don't fully understand the trauma of taking the life of their unborn child. It may not be convenient, but it is life. There is no perfect human legislation, but this bill would save the lives of 90% of the children being aborted today. Will we rise to the occasion as a culture, or sink to new depths by allowing this epidemic to continue. Thank you.
Amen.
Good morning. I'm Tim O'Brien from Blessed Hope Baptist Church in Kettering, Ohio. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee." Life is a sacred gift given by God Himself. We are gathered here today not to ask our senators to grant this right to the unborn, but to take an important step towards protecting the right that every yet-to-be-born baby possesses as their sacred God-given right. As we petition the Senate today to do what is right on behalf of the unborn, I feel compelled to remind them that each of us is approaching a day to be feared far more than any election day. That is the day that we stand before God. What is it that God will require of us on that day? Micah 6:8 holds the answer: to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. The just action to take on behalf of 26,000 babies who would otherwise be killed by abortion each year in Ohio is to pass the heartbeat bill. Finally, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Senators, I charge you, fear not the Republicans or the Democrats. Fear not Planned Parenthood and other groups dedicated to maintaining a culture where the murder of children is accepted. Fear not your colleague who has pressured you to vote the wrong way. Fear not the voters. Fear not your big donor. Fear God. Keep His commandments. Pass the heartbeat bill. Pass it now.
Amen.
Protect the God-given sacred right to life of babies with beating hearts.
Amen. Amen.
My name is David Robertson. I'm the pastor of the Worthington Christian Church. And, I think we would all agree that all people matter to God. And it's amazing to me how once a heart is beating outside the womb, how we fight to keep that heart beating. How many millions upon millions upon millions of dollars each year is spent on keeping those hearts healthy and keeping them beating. God said that outside the womb or inside the womb, we're all precious to Him. And so we ask the senators to bring this to a vote. And let's save these babies.
Yes.
Amen. Morning, David Mahan. Although I am a minister, I am also the CEO of Frontline Youth Communications, and I have an opportunity to speak to thousands, tens of thousands of young people every year. And really that's why I'm here, to kind of bring more awareness to their voice. A lot of times when we hear of issues like this, it tends to get blamed on the young people. Well, this is a different world that we live in, and people, the next generation, think differently, but that's not been my experience. I speak to young people from every corner of America, reservations of South Dakota and Arizona and deep south and the Bronx and Connecticut, all over the place. I work with these young people. And a lot of times I get an opportunity to talk about fetal development. Not throwing out any issues, not pro-life, pro-choice, but let's just talk about in the realm of human sexuality and child development things. Let's talk about fetal development. And I get a couple of questions every time I show the video of from conception to birth. When that heart starts beating, in their eyes it's not a heart, it's just a red blob inside of, on this video screen. They're like, Mr. David, what is that? And I'm like, that's a heart. They're like, wow, that early? The heart is beating at 21 days, at 18 days. Man, and then I get other questions as we get a little further in the video, like, why is it a baby when you want it and it's not a baby when you don't? Well, how is it that abortion could not affect you, years down the line, affect a woman, but during a miscarriage, that woman is affected for the rest of her life? I get these questions and it perplexes me sometimes because, I don't know if I'm the one who they're really looking for the answers from. You are the ones, as senators, as legislators, who they're really looking for that answer. And I'm asking you to bring the heartbeat bill to the floor and give these young people an answer and stop using them as an excuse.
Yes.
Amen.
I'm Neil Norheim, pastor at Parkview Christian Church in Findlay, Ohio, and represent about 360 people who meet together on Sunday morning and earnestly praying about the heartbeat bill. I'm tempted to be cliche-ish. It's Bill 125, the baby's alive, and make sure that we understand that we have been endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. I don't use that word very often, do you all? I don't think you do. It means it can't be purchased. It can't be sold. It can't be bartered.
That's right. Come on.
My friends in the Senate, listen. You've been bartered, bought, and sold by people who've been lying to you.
That's right. Amen.
Now the truth is, it is not a pro-choice movement. It's a pro-abortion movement.
Right.
If you have a choice, you got more than one to make. Pro-life has an idea that I can make a choice. And simply because all of a sudden in the last 40 years we've taken something and we've put it in a sterile, pristine condition in a surgical suite, we've called it okay because it was clean. And it was a bloody kind of a destruction of life.
Amen.
Until we recognize it, and I just beg you to have the courage to bring this to the table. Dare to vote on it. You are 18 inches from making this law. What does that mean? That's the length from the top of your head to the bottom of your heart. That's how close you are. You're that close to making a difference in life. That's the issue. It is not political. It is not even moral. It is theological. God is the author of life. When He breathes into something, it becomes a living soul.
Amen.
Don't mistake that. It's in a human body. The baby is alive.
Amen.
Here's a quick story. 19 days ago, I was in a cardiac unit in eastern Alabama. I did an ultrasound cardio stress test. Hope you never have to do it. It's okay. It was a lot of fun. Found out I really do have a heart. And then when the stress test was done, they did the ultrasound again, and the doctor said, watch this, I want you to breathe in and out, I'm watching your heart, now stop breathing, and the heart reacted. What? He said, I want you to cough, and the heart reacted. And you think that a baby's heart doesn't react? Talk to a cardiologist, and you'll find out when the heart beats, there's life. 125 means the baby is alive. You're 18 inches from it. Allow your brain and your heart to work together. Get it on the table and pass it.
Amen.